about food.
So,
We're good.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, everybody, we're gonna start the meeting. Recognize any guests in attendance. I think Tim was here somewhere. And Brittany, even though she's, just.
I'll wait for you anyway. Yeah.
We got the proxy votes listed. Has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes from last month?
Yes.
So do I have a motion to accept?
I'll motion. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or nays? Discussions? I always forget that one. Okay, meeting notes accepted. Treasurer report.
Couple of things. We have transferred the funds from Dakota Bank into First Western. And right now they're sitting in a checking account. We'll have to figure out, let the finance committee figure out exactly where to put them. It would make sense to put some in some CDs because we can gain a lot more interest than we're getting now, which is just about nothing. So that is in the process of consolidating everything.
I have a question on that.
Mhm.
Most of it's supposed to go into savings, not the checking.
It's easy to, it was easier to deposit it into checking and then move it. It's real easy to move it.
Okay. Anything else?
I have been working with Jerry Jorgensen on getting the 990 reports. It seems we hit up against a serious hard deadline of the 15th, after which there are penalties. We had to do some fast work to find bank statements and other documentation that was missing. I promised them that we would do better in the future and have stuff in place. We need the bank statements. We need, now it's a moot point now, but the management statements from the apartment, owner's statements, minutes of all the meetings, all has to go.
On
Has to be
the share
part.
document that you gave me,
And then put them in that shared folder,
put them in there.
and then they can access that directly. She did, Christie at Jerry's office checked to make sure that the link I sent her still works. So we just drop stuff in there. As it happens, when they need it, they got it.
I think I got 3 different ones. Were they all the same or some, or was there a
We
specific one?
need to figure out exactly which one it is. I know there's multiple ones.
Yeah, because all we need is the bank financial stuff and the minutes of each meeting.
Yeah.
And then they're good to go.
We'll take that aside and work that out as exactly where they should go.
And then all three that takes care of it.
And I'll dump the agendas in there as well,
Yep.
just so everything's covered.
It's just good to have all that stuff in there, up to date. So much easier to do it in real time than it is to go back and do it a year and a half later.
Yeah.
It's a real pain. And I'm still working, still dealing with it today, and I think we finally got the end of it. See, anything else that we discussed in the finance meeting that we need to do the,
We could.
Well,
You
go over
want
that when we do the finance report.
Okay.
Or the finance organization report.
we'll take the financial statements offline if someone wants to peruse them. We'll have them available.
Anything else, Kim?
Not at present.
Thank you. Kathy's not here, so anything on the grant?
I do have something on that, and that is that we do have a deadline coming up in July to finish the final reports on the grant for orphan train. So I will check with Kathy on that, exactly what she needs to finish that up. Also, under the subject of grants, we talked in the finance committee, I think, about possibility of tracking volunteer hours.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
Okay.
Okay, social media, Miss Brittany.
Nothing major to report social media wise. Still plugging along.
Has everybody got your bios and stuff?
Kenna, I need your.
I know, I just said it tonight, I'm like, I'm not.
That's it.
That's the only one I'm missing.
Cut it
Kenna.
off.
So,
Just make something up.
right.
Yes.
She has colorful hair and a bubbly personality.
She was born in
Yeah.
1931. Okay, finance. Oh, sorry, was that it, Brittany? Okay. Finance, Edward.
Okay, finance meeting, we met on the 7th, which was last Tuesday. We discussed a few things. We filled out the rental contract for the Misfits. We agreed to a $250 rental fee, filled out all the paperwork. So I believe that was given to Randall for them to sign, to agree to, for their use in June, if I remember correctly,
June 28th.
28.
June 28th.
Who is that?
The
Rocky
Magic
Horror?
City Misfits, they do that Rocky Horror Show. We also discussed consolidating. We currently have 3 banks that we have accounts with, Dakota Bank, Bremer, and First Western. We had Nancy sign off on Dakota Bank to consolidate that money, as Ken had mentioned, and we also have the apartment money in Bremer Bank, which is sitting there right now. The account is being looking at that. I believe Ken said it should be available. He should be done by tomorrow. We should know by
They
tomorrow.
will file those reports they are due by the 15th, so I'm presuming they're gonna go out tomorrow.
And then consolidating that into First Western as well, because that's the one we mainly use. Putting that in our savings for now until we can kind of figure out what we're gonna do with that money. One of the things we had discussed is moving that money into a CD, because since a lot of that money sits unused for most of the year, putting it into a CD so that'll earn a higher interest rate. Obviously, we can't touch that money for depending on what length of time we decide to put it in there.
Probably multiple CDs.
Yeah. Just so that, we'll know, hey, in 6 months, we know that this money's gonna be available, and then 12 months, this money's gonna be available. That's something we're still looking into. Nothing decided yet, nothing that needs to be brought up to a vote yet. We also discussed moving off of a debit card to a credit card, because obviously a debit card gets paid every month. If we start using a credit card where we can accrue points, or pretty much we would get cash back for using the card. We're already spending the money, paid off every month. That's more money into the theater, and that's money we can use towards repairs, whatever we need it for. Pretty much it's getting free money, just making sure that everything's getting paid off, and that'll probably be one of the duties of the finance committee as well. We did receive the insurance check. I believe Randall has noted that. And we were still waiting on some bills, which I see that it is on the minutes today, so that'll be discussed later. We looked into a 513 status, as Ken had discussed, tracking volunteer hours. We're looking at options on a way to do that, whether it's going to be written down. There's apps that do that, but a 513 is a nonprofit status, so there's certain grants that we would qualify for. Sorry, not 513, 503 status. Sorry, 503 status. So
We have that.
Yeah, we do.
yeah, but we have to have our volunteer hours tracked for some of those grants.
Just have a notebook.
That's something we had discussed. Still discussing. Nothing set in stone.
Why can't we have both?
And that's what I was thinking. We'll probably end up
Well,
using both.
It probably would be to track it when you're here or whatever, to just sign in on the volunteer thing, and then somebody else can put it in on whatever
Online.
app or whatever it is. At least that way you're not going to, waste time trying to figure out who's got the app open and who knows how to use
I
it.
think I haven't had a chance to look it over.
It's an app that goes on your own phone,
Yeah.
and you just pull it up, go ahead, click, select what activity you're doing, and track it.
And then
Well,
it
right.
gets
Takes
reported
10 seconds.
somewhere where we can access it, so we don't have to worry about tracking down a notebook or.
Well, I just kind of know that I probably wouldn't do that. So,
And I think there's a few that won't
We
that
will.
don't want to use that.
We'll do a we'll
I mean,
come up with
honestly-
some information on that.
That's part of the finance committee's charge, is to figure out what to do and then bring it to the board.
Try and find a way that'll work for everyone.
Final committee report.
We discussed QuickBook access. That's just something pertaining to the finance meeting. and setting up just an email contact for anybody that needs to contact the finance committee for anything. And that was about what concludes the finance meeting. So.
I would suggest if you have any comments about volunteering or that piece of it, just contact this guy. So he can pull the notes together. Don't look at me like that. No, she looked at me like that. Yes, Lynn.
Actually, bad looks at random.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Can I
and
ask a question?
Yes.
Has the finance committee determined what our monthly expenses are and what our income is?
We just started
We're
looking at
working
that.
on it.
That's what we looked at some of these reports at the
This
meeting.
is expenses.
So we know that there's a few of them that are out of whack, such as the really high water bill and heating bill that came in from that.
But what I'm looking for is, do we have a clue as to what our monthly expenses are and what our monthly income is going forward?
Not yet,
That
but that is one of
that's
the
what
goals of
they're-
the finance committee.
That is part of the process, is gonna be working on a budget.
And then for each board meeting, the only thing we're gonna be reporting is inflow and outflow. If you have questions about that, then you just contact the finance committee for proof or whatever others.
I would like to make a motion that whether it is the finance committee or the treasurer, that for each board meeting, that we have a simple breakdown of the monthly expenses in and money coming in and money going out. Basically, so that the board itself, not just a small group of people, can see in May, we paid X amount in heating, or in June, we paid this amount in lighting, water, mostly those regular expenses that happen every month that are not directly connected to a show, because that is going to be where we'll have an idea of where our money goes to. Because right now, we can say, yeah, we made money on a show, but if we made $2,000 on a show, that's terrific. But if we're paying out $3,000 per month on expenses, we're taking a hit. So we kind of we would like to visually see that.
So Ken, is that possible?
Yeah.
Not a full financial statement.
It's just been, and that is on my agenda of getting
Please,
those
just a simple.
formalized.
Well,
So
as a
you-
motion, I would second the motion, because I feel that part of a board's duty is to see that our organization is fiscally responsible to its board members.
No,
So
we
I
don't
certainly
disagree with
second
that.
that. I
But
don't know,
we
but we're
also
just
don't
not
wanna
getting
spend
it.
45 minutes on every board meeting on this discussion.
No, but if
But
we
if
have
we
it just
had a
available,
simple
boom,
report,
So
we
Here's
wouldn't
the
have to
paper.
discuss it.
Yeah.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Is everybody, any discussions?
Well, we were getting a report every month.
Yeah, but she
um,
brought it up as a
yeah.
motion for vote, so we have to vote.
but the report that we've been getting does not itemize.
So let's bring that up in the next finance meeting to discuss a summary report
Yeah.
of finances. All those in favor?
Aye.
I will, for the next meeting, I'll have a statement of financial position and cash flow.
At least a truncated
Those are
version.
two very standard accounting forms.
Right.
But we don't want the thing that says, that's got all the breakdown
No, we're not
about
gonna go into
the,
detail.
But just
Yeah.
the
We're just
general
gonna get the
headings.
yeah,
categories.
we just want the general categories.
I can make it as detailed or as compact as you want it.
Because if
Okay.
you have more questions, you can always reach out.
Right.
Everything is transparent. There's
But you
nothing-
can't have questions if you don't see it.
Okay. All right, was that all, Edward?
Yep, that's it.
So box office, anything, Ken, you want to bring up?
Box office, other than some hiccups with the printers, which I think we have resolved now. It went pretty smoothly, thank you, Ed. You did it, you kind of took it over, that's fine. We ended up with 506 attendance for the run. It just, I was a little disappointed that it wasn't higher, but I started comparing to the last 2 years of our spring closers, and it's right in the same ballpark.
Because of Mother's Day.
Yeah, that's part of
Well,
it.
just because of May.
People going to the lake.
It is what it is.
Everything else.
We move it one way or the other, we run into graduations. We can't go much earlier.
If you go 1 week early graduation, if you go 1 week later, it's the lake.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it just is.
So the patterns for the May show have been pretty consistent over the past few years. Hopefully that'll change next year with the clue. I will have full reports. I'll have those ready for next time of the show income. I just didn't have time to finish it today because I haven't finished making all the deposits.
When that's done, if you can just email it to me so I can
Okay,
try and get
is
that.
that box office?
Oh, one other thing, we did an experiment with scanning tickets. As an experiment, it was a success. Because we learned things.
Because. I was waiting for that.
We learned that the mechanics of it are a little bit different, and
And the scanner
And
is
for-
very
first-
touchy.
yeah, and part of that is the mechanic, and that's what I'm talking about, with the mechanics of it. To make this work properly, we have to have a kiosk or a computer there, so when you scan it, you can see visually that it was accepted. As it was, we had the computers in the office, and it didn't work. Okay, so we learned that. There's really not any need to scan tickets on reserved seating shows. It's nice to have, it's not necessary. I'm not saying we should, but if we ever do a general admission show, it is absolutely essential that we be able to scan tickets. And that's why we did the experiment. So if we choose not to ever do a general admission show, we're good.
When having worked the scanner myself, I would suggest that either we get a scanning situation that is mounted
Yep.
and does not require somebody to hold it and fire it all the time. There's a couple of reasons for that. But one of the problems that I encountered, and it went across the board, the people printed it from home, it printed too light. They printed it from home, it blurred. They printed it from home and then folded the paper, it didn't like the folded paper. So the scanner, the actual gun itself, I don't know whether it's just the quality of the gun, the type of gun, whatever, no idea. But the one that I was using simply just didn't want to work.
They got 4 months to figure it out.
With the general admission being mentioned, Missoula Children's Theater is general admission. Whether
Yes,
that
and that
matters or not, I don't
we may want to give some consideration to that if we're gonna do that.
Or
But if
maybe
not,
spend a couple hours on a day
yeah,
tinkering with it and seeing,
Mhm.
finding the better way
It
to
just
work.
needs,
if not, we can go to the old fashioned
Yeah,
liquor
yeah.
to get us through.
With summer theater switching over to that Arts People system,
Mhm.
Peg said that there is an app that is available for that. So if somebody is here for Missoula that just downloads it, that would also scan it.
off a phone.
We
I'll have to
can-
look into that. I think you're right.
Well, let's,
I'll talk, I can talk.
Yeah, that'd probably be a way to do it.
But yeah,
Just use a
there's-
phone.
Yep, yeah, you just, the app's there and then you just.
so is
scan it
that,
back.
is that it for?
Yep, that'll do
Sure. The only thing I wanted to say there also was good job, Ashley. Hope everything
Yeah.
went great. So bathrooms are clean.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Shoebox.
The house, Lynn or Nancy or both?
On the house.
Yeah.
Report. I continue to do the morning after cleanup, which is fine. I don't mind doing that. Each morning I come in and clean up like coffee pots and take out the garbage and that kind of thing. The one thing that I did find, someone used the bathroom sink, the stage bathroom sink with paint down it. And I know that because I can see paint around it. So be sure, don't put paint down the bathroom sink. There's the mud sink right out here. So, minor grumble. Randall updated all of the towel dispensers. Thank you. Randall got those in all, working order, because that's frustrating when you're there and it doesn't work. The bathroom tissue was ordered. Ken got us a nice big order for that. And surprisingly, we go through that like crazy. So there's extra bathroom tissue in this cupboard right behind this wall here, there. And then in the first bathroom is full of bathroom tissue too.
I think the FedEx guy's beginning to wonder about me.
Probably. And the
He
box
cries
is,
a lot.
well, it's heavy too. It really is heavy, but
And they all showed up at the same time.
yeah, and it gets used, folks. It gets used. So
Nancy, we need to place another order for the hand towels. I
That'd
think,
be-
too.
Seriously?
Yeah, there's only 2 rolls left.
the brown ones
Yeah, that's all I saw.
did you look in the electrical room?
Yeah, there's only 2 rolls in there.
Really?
Ooh.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, thank you. Ken has been doing that. Yeah, I don't know. People are very clean or whatever. What can I say?
The ones that go in this dispenser.
Yeah, I got him.
I want you to, everyone, please be sure that extension cords are not left in, plugged into nothing. I have an experience with a fire happening with an extension cord that was plugged in to nothing, whatever, and it caused a fire. So just please be very, very careful. If an extension cord is plugged in, don't, unplug it, please. Then wandering around, I found a long extension cord that's going up into
That's the projection
That's the
system.
projector.
That's
okay, the
temporary.
fire marshal will have a heart attack. Remember our first show?
Mm.
That's gonna be removed
Oh,
on
yeah.
Friday.
Okay, because, okay, thank you, because that is,
That's when the
for those of you that don't remember, when we first moved here,
That's when the electrician-
our first show in the theater, we had miles of extension cords because we had no plug-ins and we had miles of them. And the fire marshal came and nearly had a heart attack. And he told us he didn't sleep during our first run of our show because he was so worried that something was going to get blow out.
I should have been here to clean them.
So anytime I see the long extension cord, I think of him. So, okay, then good to know. I think, anything else, Lynn?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Nancy, on them.
Do you have something?
Concessions, I'll have a final report from Arnie's next week with a check.
Okay.
I just don't know what it is.
Okay. Get it to me, I'll deposit it and
Okay.
update our show reports.
Kids program, Holly or Heather, any updates or?
Yeah. Are we gonna do posters? Do you think we need posters?
I don't know, I really don't need it,
We
but
could just
a
do
little
those,
program or
those-
something. So,
those things that we had, maybe we can just run and
yeah,
take them
drop
and put
off
some
at
off
different
here and
places.
there.
I
Sure.
was gonna ask you about a poster. We have a ton of people that drive by and stop
See it?
and they look like
Oh,
what's
okay.
showing. We need to put something up in the big,
Even if you just make it.
in the front.
Okay, yeah, we could do that, 540 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've got that
Because we need,
thing that
They need
they
something.
can.
Yeah, we can do something. I got the pianist person. I last week spent several days, or the last few weeks, going to lots of different businesses around town trying to get sponsorships for the show, seeing what I can get. And out of all of them I went to, I got one, so that's good. So thank you, Town and Country. So they are sponsoring $250 for the shows, so that'll be good.
Well, I guess really, helpers wise,
I have a girl from the last show signing. She's gonna help on that Monday. So
Okay.
if you
maybe
organize,
the,
she said she can wrangle kids up front. and
Right.
whatnot.
and Molly might be available and her little friend, I don't know if you're available, Linda might be available.
so how many volunteers do you think you'll need?
Probably not a lot.
Yeah, where you going?
Once auditions
then you-
start, we don't need any
Yeah,
volunteers really.
2
Like,
days.
I'll be here and then really don't need anybody. My husband is gonna go downstairs in the, what do you guys call the room?
Rehearsal
Yeah,
room.
the rehearsal room. They need 2 spaces, so we're gonna use that space
Sure.
and then the stage space. So he's gonna go and clean that out, make sure that
Okay.
there's enough room and stuff for that.
What about set?
They have their own set, they have their own lighting and everything like that. So we just need to have the piano ready
Okay,
on
well, we'll
by
keep,
Wednesday.
yeah, that just rolls out, so.
So they do their own lights, you said, too?
Yeah, they have all that.
And sound or anything?
Mhm, Yep.
Good.
What age is
First grade day.
going
Entering,
into
yeah,
first grade?
entering first grade, entering 8th grade.
Entering, I always thought it was 8th, finishing.
They're
Well,
still
we've been
probably gonna
saying-
have a little wiggle room.
Yeah.
Yeah, just through
I've
it.
been
The number
telling
of
people
8th graders.
entering 8th grade and then, so.
And I've been telling them through 8th
The
grade.
number of 8th graders.
Yeah, ours very many, but still.
And they know they're staying at a private house, not a hotel.
I haven't talked to them personally, but yeah, they will. They'll
That's
know
it.
that. They'll be good with that.
Okay.
As long as, they were allergic to animals, so.
No animals in my house,
Miranda says good with
just
that.
me.
Not even a fish.
No fish.
Okay,
I have a very dirty
transportation, do they have that?
Yep, they drive their own. Yeah.
Okay, well, then there you go.
They're good on their meals. I mean, if somebody wanted to buy them Subway or something like that for dinner, that's great, but
How many?
there's just 2 of them.
I'm sure we can accommodate them while they're here. Okay, anything else, guys? All right, newsletter, Holly,
We're
Ashley,
looking
Pam.
at doing one now, Ashley's gonna, send Ken a little something. Doesn't have to be much,
Wrap up, yeah.
yeah, I have to look at the, you put some stuff in on our website, okay? Do you want more than that because can you take that and use that, or do I
No,
have
I
to?
can't, because it's PDFs.
Okay.
I can't pull out the graphics from them. I need the graphics as
What is that again? What kind?
JPEGs.
JPEG. Oh, okay, that's,
The only thing that I would ask about the newsletter is, because we're off season now, is put a blurb out there about sponsorship, or not
okay.
necessarily sponsor, because it's not going to businesses, but personal sponsorships
Okay.
possibly.
Well, the
We
next
gotta
one,
start hitting these folks.
the one in the summer, we'll go with the lineup.
You're gonna have another one, okay.
Yeah, and I think we'll just,
We need to keep it fairly small,
yeah,
because if people get a long,
No, no.
a huge email, they're not gonna read it. Get it, make it short. If it comes out to like 2 printed pages would be perfect.
And I will say this, the comment I had this weekend, somebody had mentioned they had seen the newsletter. They really liked the blurb about the past.
yeah,
That was it
Oh.
just happened, somebody just told me,
they
hey,
liked
whoever's doing the newsletter, we like to hear about the past.
the past, yeah.
And I saw some
I thought we were gonna have
pictures,
some available for.
Yeah, I forgot about
I
that.
saw some pictures, I think Nancy had found about this building. I think would be awesome to start
To do some
circulating.
history stuff.
Right.
Okay.
We need a little bit of
Our
that.
audiences like history.
They do. I mean, that's true. And it is fun to back up, that
Right.
those spotlight things were from the past,
That was awesome.
Yeah, so,
As far as materials to put in the newsletter, JPEGs or individual graphics, please, no PDFs. I can't send a PDF. It won't work.
okay,
So individual graphics, and the text as a Word document or
Okay.
whatever.
And then you have a question?
okay. I'll
This
work on
isn't quite about the newsletter, but I didn't ask it about kids program. I'm looking, you have the names of the people who are supposedly on these committees. But I see, like with the kids program, only Holly and Heather. And I know Brittany had been asked to be on it. but she hasn't been contacted by anybody.
We haven't done anything.
But
Except
the
talk
point
about it.
being that,
Here.
That's
then I
probably
look
my
down,
fault.
then I look down here on the newsletter, and, is Penny really on the newsletter?
Well,
Is-
she
originally
volunteered.
raised her hand.
So maybe we need to make sure when something is occurring, even if it's just an informational thing, that whoever's in charge of the committee, make sure that everybody who is on that committee, and this is across the board, at least gets an email saying, hey, this happened, or we're thinking about doing that. Because I know it really, really is difficult when you volunteer to be on a committee, and then all of a sudden, 2 weeks, 3 weeks down the road, you hear that some decision has been made or a suggestion has been made, and you never heard a damn thing about it. So please, if you are in charge of a committee, make sure that you contact all of your committee members whenever a question or something comes up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I add something to
You
the
guys,
kids
I'll add
before we move on?
written as well. What's that?
We have an opportunity to do 3 workshops during the week that they're here. So as long as you guys are fine, I'll just schedule those for the evenings here at the theater. The kids can just sign up to do it. The 2 people put it on. It's like we have our choices, kind of one's improv, one's stage presence. I can't think of the rest of them, something like that. I thought that'd be fun for them. They're paying the $25 anyways. We might as well give them a little bit more.
Yeah.
Is that part of their fee?
Yep, the
Yeah.
3, we can have 3 free workshops and then we can,
Absolutely.
yeah.
All
Okay.
wonderful.
Okay.
I have a question about the newsletter. Is the only way to access the newsletter in an email, like through
No,
email?
not necessarily. I'm open to any suggestions you'd like to
Well,
make.
because I know, like, from my parents,
Facebook.
they don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, they've signed up for it for whatever reason. It just
It
doesn't.
just doesn't come.
It doesn't get lost in spam. It doesn't show up. Who knows why? But if we had a link where we could send people to be able to access it, if they don't want to get it in their email, I know for myself, I hate getting things in my emails because my email is so messy anyway.
Yeah.
But if we could,
I'd like to be able to put it on the website. Kind of like to be able to,
Or if we can even link it on the Facebook page.
yeah, link it to
So
the
if it goes on the
Facebook page,
website, you can
Yep.
tell them on Facebook.
exactly,
to go
to
to
go
that.
here if they want to be able to
Okay.
read it
So
and see it.
Ken King and look at that.
That
Yep.
there is interest.
So you
Yeah,
gotta get-
absolutely. I'd
Okay,
like to see them.
fundraising and promotion. Heather?
We have our fundraiser tomorrow, so hand out your flyers tomorrow at work or wherever you go on a walk or somewhere. The mall.
There's flyers down there.
Yeah.
And then would anybody, thank you Holly for signing up, would anybody else like to work an hour, half an hour, I don't know?
What's involved?
Just like
I know,
standing
I
at the
know I
door,
saw
greeting
that
people,
John said that
patrons.
he was
She said that,
checking.
yeah, I haven't heard back from him about that, so.
If the
No, you
anesthesia
probably
hasn't-
send it again.
if the anesthesia
He
hasn't
said he was
killed him,
gonna
I'll
be
help.
moving or packing or something.
he said the movers are coming on Thursday, so.
Just like handing out, we have those little postcards that got made up for the Taco John's ones. If we run out of those, maybe some brochures, just saying hi. You don't really have to do much, just.
How many of those little postcards do we still have? Do you know? Because you had them last, so I don't know
Yeah,
where
I
they went
just have had
to.
them over here on the thing, so whether people have been kind of grabbing.
There's quite a few brochures I know yet in
If
the
nothing
office. There's
else,
some more
take the
brochures.
brochures.
Yeah, I'll just take all of it tonight and send.
Take some that aren't folded so you can fold them.
So is there anybody else that can help tomorrow?
So they need this flyer for us to read
They-
25%?
Yeah, they either need the flyer itself or a picture on their phone.
And the
So-
picture, the flyer is in
Yep.
the Facebook
Thank you.
event. So if you have somebody and you don't have a flyer and they're interested, they can find the Facebook event, and the flyer is in there, so they can show it to them that way.
Yeah, so either way works.
Can we
as long
stand
as
outside and just hand them out?
I wish, they probably not know.
Maybe a quick one.
Couple blocks steps here at the
Just flag
theater.
them down and see them walking in, like, hey.
We
Like
have
the
to-
guy with the sandwich
We have to
sign?
move people, sorry. Season committee, any movement there? I don't think.
There's no need for it at this point.
Yeah.
Tenant building committee, nothing really to report, what's not in front of you already. We finally got the bills. The only two bills we have outstanding is Ralph's Plumbing for 5,100. Clean Tech is 20,700. And unfortunately, that was out of our control. That's controlled by insurance. So we will be paying out 25,900. Insurance gave us a check for 49,900 after our $1,000 deductible. So our total deposit will be 24,019. And the reason it was so low is because the type of insurance that we had on the building. And that's something that the finance committee is going to look at next month is all insurance policies. Because we have what's called a depreciation policy, which pays 70% of your value because of depreciation. And it's not an apartment building anymore, but it's still classified as an apartment building on the insurance. So we kind of got screwed there. And if anybody has a question, you can talk to me offline. The only thing you might have a question about is the Clean Tech. I have been on the phone with them for 4 days and trying to get it down, and we can't move it. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
And again, insurance dictated that it had to be remediated. So it wasn't me saying, go for it and clean the building. So I will be giving Ken the check here. And if anybody wants to look at the documents, they're all here. Transparency. So
Concerning the tenant building, do we want, not at today's meeting, but do we want to start discussing on what we are going to do with the building?
we're
Or
going
do we
to,
want to put that up to
we're going to
a committee?
start up the tenant building committee. Actually, the people that listed here is the ones that said they wanted to help. Anybody else that wants to help, please let me know, because I want to start that committee as soon as next month. Because that committee will come up with ideas on the building and present multiple ideas to the board on what we should do next. So, does anybody have any questions? I mean, it's a big challenge.
Is John likely to be wanting to continue on it considering?
He told me this afternoon, he says, if the meeting was next week, I'd be there because I wouldn't have anything to do in the evening.
Okay,
He said that he was fully going to be.
So,
I'm just concerned with all the move and everything else.
So I am looking
Finishes
for anybody
Thursday.
that wants their opinion put into it, join the tenant. I will send an email out after I get back from the lake next week. I'm going to the lake. And we'll start up that committee.
Please do
officially.
not make it the first week of June.
No, I'll be in Texas.
At least two of us won't be here.
I'll be in Texas and at the Children's Theater.
In
Okay, membership, anything, Lynn?
No,
Oh, no,
Okay.
it's me the week after. And then-
Sponsorship, right now, I'm the only one that's on that committee. If anybody wants to help, starting next week, I want to get that committee pumping because we got to start getting funds in from
May I make
people.
a suggestion? Just from my husband's point of view, and of course he, as a business owner, he prefers to get something in the mail.
Yeah, we'll do all of that. It's
Well,
just-
right, but I mean, for a while there, we were just, sending an email or this or that, and he just prefers that the paper
Personal
comes in the
touch.
mail.
We have a flyer, I think that Courtney or either maybe Brittany, you did.
Yes.
But Chris,
Yep.
when Chris handed all the documents to me, I actually have like an 8.5 by 11 flyer that can go out. that
Well,
we can
there's
print and
several
send.
forms of letters from back when I did it too.
Yeah, 2
Yeah.
years
And
ago,
there-
we put one together.
We will do hand letters, we will do emails and phone calls. Because we gotta hit them in every direction.
And I'll just hit on the emphasis of that. From day one, a community theater cannot support itself by its shows.
Right.
Bottom line, you won't continue to exist show to
That's
show to
very
show to
clear
show.
with us.
Outside monies are essential.
So anybody that wants to be a part of that, please let me know so we can start this process.
I don't
Okay.
necessarily want to be part of the committee, but I do have a couple of thoughts about it when it becomes
Okay.
viable.
Okay, new business.
Membership?
She said there was nothing.
Oh, okay, but, I got this thing on one of the show nights and what it is the Boys Ranch, and I didn't know where it went, but I thought, if we're talking not necessarily membership, but volunteer people or something, that the Boys and Girls Ranch has the capability for helping make stuff for, shows, and they'd like the kids to be involved,
Right now, the only person that's been hitting volunteers is myself, so I
Okay.
guess I'll take it.
Okay, well, do you want to just kind of shoot a picture and, well, I guess I did. And, that it would be nice if the, directors kind of knew that was available to them, and just an email would,
I can reach out to him, because I said I'm the only one that's been reaching out to volunteers, unless anybody else wants to help.
Well, would they be willing to help with the wood room or something like that?
well, I'm guessing that they probably maybe would, so
We can reach out
and I
to
thought, well, it'd be surely a good shot just to check it out.
Okay. I will reach out. Okay, new business. Holly, you wanted to talk about the possible 50th anniversary gala, or?
Well, the note came up when we were talking in that youth meeting that, a number of weeks ago, when we were just kicking around if it was viable to maybe, start some youth activities, which is where the children's theater thing came out of, and that we maybe, could offer some Saturday classes again, here and there. Anyway, but one of the things that came out of it was that, I'm trying to think what it was, that maybe we would save for the 50th anniversary gala for MRP, and of course, we'd have to kind of be, I don't know if we're considering next year, it's the 21, so would that be the 21 from January?
21, 22 should
No,
be
it's
the
not this
season.
upcoming season, it's the one after that.
One after that, so
So
the
we-
2021.
So maybe we could table it for a while,
Right,
but keep
but
it in the back of your minds.
if you have some I'll have to go back and look at my notes again to see what it was that actually came up with it, Yep,
Oh, just that back in when the season committee first started,
yep,
Brittany and Courtney had already sort of looked at some possibilities regarding the
Right.
season. So please keep them in the loop because they've already got some ideas going on.
well, right, and I knew that because actually Brittany and I talked about it in the office, that
Yeah.
we could actually spend 2 seasons doing the hit of the decade or whatever, because there's enough probably on your list that we could actually do, the 19 or the 2021 and 21-22 possibly as an option. What this gala thing is just kind of a one night thing, and what was brought up was years ago, there was a community thing that they had through St. Joe's Foundation. And it was about the adults' follies, so you take, kind of like we did at
Are
Thanksgiving.
you thinking about like the Night in Little Chicago or the
Yeah,
Brown Derby on the Pink Flamingo? I
right,
think
and
was one
having
that did.
some, a kind of an event.
Mhm.
So let's just table that for now, so that's in people's minds. But I think we've already, that process is already starting with the
Right.
season committee.
That's right.
Hey, so just so I'm clear, the 50th anniversary is 2021 season,
Mhm.
Okay,
so not this season.
1920s 49.
All right, thank you, Holly. The new business there for myself, wanted to just say thank you, Brittany and the gang for MagicCon. I think it was a pretty well-received
It was,
thing.
and they really liked our demonstrations. So going beyond just having our booth and having the demonstrations, we had really good attendance for our improv. A lot of kids getting involved, and one of our makeup demos was very well received. So I think we should definitely keep pushing forward with it in the future.
Perfect.
I'd like to make a note that if we should definitely move forward with keeping with the demonstrations and maybe plan farther ahead. So I know it was a little spur of the moment.
It's improv.
I helped, yeah.
No,
Well,
it's not
like-
all improv, that's the whole thing.
I participated with Daniel Knickerbocker. We did stage combat, so
I was hoping.
Which was awesome.
Draw blood.
They
I didn't
we
get
really
that
enjoyed
much.
that. The sword started flying.
yeah. Like once people heard the clacking of the swords hitting each other, it drew a crowd.
And the kids.
Okay, so thanks to everybody.
Oh.
Also, I wanted to bring up a proposal for the an end of season thank you party. I think we don't recognize the people that do all the work to keep this building going. And I would like to put on the table for us, and we don't have to vote right now, but it would be nice if we could get some kind of response that says, let's have a party. For the volunteers, for the directors, the actors. You know, I have no idea how much a party like this would cost us yet. But before I even go out there and start putting a price to this and whatever, I would like for you guys to say, yes, let's do it, or no, let's don't.
I think
This is gonna take a lot for me to put together, what it's gonna look like. And if anybody wants to help, I don't wanna do it by myself. So yes, ma'am.
In the beginning of the year, when we had the membership meeting, one of the things that I brought up that it was, one of the things I would like to consider would be something where we could invite people who are members to a burger burn, whatever,
And that could be a
type
part
of thing,
this.
which could be part of it. I think I don't want to go the whole route of hiring anybody to cater it because
Well, who's gonna cook it?
You
I'm
can
not
have
cooking any food. And
I think we could have.
really-
I think we could get
I
volunteers.
really
I think-
don't think we need to be a pizza party. This needs
No.
to be
No.
something more
Burgers and
congratulatory.
hot dogs.
This
Right,
is,
but it could
I mean,
be-
our season was one of the best seasons we've had outside of, it's not Ashley's control, but it was just the season.
Thought it was a great
So
show.
we basically
Yeah.
sold out almost
People liked
every
it.
show. And we haven't done anything for our membership. And I'm not saying invite all 1,000 people on our list, but people who've paid, people who've been involved and their families, I think we owe this to them.
Randall, are you willing to research the cost of said event?
I'm 100% willing to do, because I.
Go for it.
this-
I'm willing
Yeah.
to
Just, I
assist.
want people to say yes or no, otherwise I'm not gonna put the effort in.
I think it would be a really nice thing, especially to the volunteers who come in, who are not on the board, who aren't dragged in by our families. But those people who willingly
And one of the
volunteer.
perks of the members, Lynn, that you
And
sold
it
the
was one of the
membership.
perks that I wanted to do. So there's a lot of reason to go ahead and do it.
And I mean, we can
Yeah.
take any suggestion. If y'all wanna do potluck, that's fine, but I know for me, I don't cook. So unless we have a lot of volunteers.
But
to
on the
say-
other side of the coin, having a hot dog and bratwurst catered in is gonna cost a heck of a lot more than going out and buying the hot dogs and
You'd be,
the stuff.
you'd be surprised. It's not what
Randall,
you
you
think.
research it and get back to us.
So I just, if I can get maybe a vote that everybody wants me to, then I can get some monies to get our
Do you need a
ideas
motion?
together.
I move that Randall proceed with a proposal that he will bring to the next meeting for a thank you party, catered, non-catered, pennies from heaven, whatever it may be, that Randall research it.
I second it.
So although, any more discussion?
I will
I've got,
assist you and
Will do.
putting that together. So.
So all those in favor?
I
Perfect. Like I said, I just didn't want to put all this work into it, and it's like, what the hell? So, okay, Lynn, you want to talk about Errol?
Just very quickly, I had put forth most of it on the email. Errol Petgrave, who has been an actor in a couple of our shows now and is very enthusiastic about Mouse River Players, is working with the Minot Air Force Base Library with their reading program to put on a reader's theater with slideshow of a graphic novel. Now, for those of you who aren't into graphic novels, oh well, it's of course not as specific to the family feeling that we have, but still, I think it's an inroad into.
Kill Shakespeare.
It's called Kill Shakespeare.
I have it.
It's pretty much a thicker, more.
It is
in-depth
theatrically,
Yeah.
it is theatrically combined, and I think it's a way for us as a group down here, MRP, to make an inroad into the Air Force Base and get known a little bit better up there. It's really hard to get a foot in the door up there. So he's going to have auditions here on the Thursday, the 23rd, Friday,
Yep, the 24th.
the 24th, and then the 25th during the afternoon. And everybody's welcome. It's going to be reader's theater. You don't have to memorize anything. You'll be sitting and reading from a script. And so if you know of anybody who might be interested in helping out, please, if you can't contact him or show up for that day or those days, you can get in contact with me. I'm helping out. Tim's helping out. You know, our family's just kind of helping to. This is something brand new for him in the line of promoting and working something like this. So we're giving him some mentorship and encouragement and things like that.
Do we know the performances?
It is, what did I write it down? Probably not. It's in July. It's the middle of July,
And the performance is up on the base.
and it will be up on the base.
Oh.
So if anybody is not able to come onto the base, they will be given passes to come on.
Oh, so the performances are.
So this
July
is going to be July 13th.
What birthday?
Ah, so it is
Well,
going
there
to
you
be
go.
performed on the base. If it works out that it really goes over well and we have a slot where we could do it here, it's potentially
Is it a
something that could be
one performance thing?
one performance. Just want to let people know that it is going to happen.
So that's cool. I think it's cool. Thank you for, I think, facilitating something like that, a new thing.
So one of the things, also for new business, I wanted to bring up 2 items, and that is an answering service for next season and cleaning service. I, and thank you, Nancy, for doing after and before cleanups, but I am no longer going to be cleaning bathrooms. It's not, I have better things to do. Like going out and getting sponsorships and getting money flowing. So
Soon, I
what
hope.
I would like to propose is that I'll go out and get like 3 bids for a cleaning service. Unless somebody wants to volunteer, then it better be for sure.
As an alternative proposal to that, since we are a working board, and I would really like to see more interaction, both for myself and other people, the board members, and more volunteers, I would suggest maybe a rotating list for people to come in before shows and help with cleaning the bathroom, answering phone calls, stuff like that.
Phone calls.
Do
don't
we
work
have,
on
do
that.
we have to put
Or
these
checking
together?
the voicemail.
No, we don't. I'm
Could we
just-
separate phone from bathroom?
We can
We could,
separate.
yeah.
I'm
Well,
just
they're
trying
separate
to
on here.
make
I
a
know, but I
particular
mean,
time.
we're just talking about it together. I would also just like to say that, again, this is our building. It's a mess, it's our fault.
No, it's
and-
absolutely right.
It just is. We're the board. We either hire it done or we do it. I mean, it's our responsibility, no matter how you look at it, to have it
And the
clean.
problem is nobody else is coming in.
I am concerned with committing money to a cleaning service when I don't know what our income and outgo is?
That's fine. I mean, I'm
Well,
putting it
but you
out
could
there.
get a proposal and we can see what it would cost.
I'm just saying that I'm not doing it anymore. So if anybody wants to step up, great, but I'm not. I already put the concessions together. I have to go get the products and then thank you, Nancy, for cleaning up afterwards. It's a full day's job before every show starts. And I put in 16 hours last week just cleaning the bathrooms and the floors. And I didn't even get to the mopping. I didn't even mop this show because I didn't have time.
Are you divorcing cleaning from the concession?
Yeah, that concessions, I don't mind
Okay.
still doing
Okay,
that,
just-
and whoever's part of that.
Just to clarify.
But this place needs a lot of work.
And you, when you're thinking cleaning, are you thinking of once a week, twice a week,
So
pre-show, post-show? What do you?
my idea would be, we'd have a good thorough cleaning before each show starts, like the first weekend. And then somebody just touches up the next weekend before the show starts again. Then after the show, either we clean it or we have them come in and do a thorough cleaning again.
So we're talking 5 shows,
In
Right.
season.
so that's,
And I don't know
10.
what this is gonna cost. It could be 200 a week, it could be 2,000. I have no clue. I've been told that cleaning services run about 250-ish to clean like a big house. And I'm talking a 5,000 square foot house. So I'm just kind of guessing maybe 200 or 300 for us, but
For the year?
For
Or
each
for
show.
each show?
time.
like a show.
Oh, I see.
I'm not
Okay.
saying 250 every time they walk in the door.
Right,
We would have to negotiate and say, what would you give us and how much?
but if we're looking at 5 times,
We're looking at
What, yes, ma'am.
10 weeks. It'd be 10
Um,
weeks plus 2
I would like
weekends
to
per
put a
show.
motion for Randall to investigate what a single incident of prep would be. For example, for the Thursday before the shows start, how much that would be for the bathrooms, the mopping, the vacuuming, the lobby, and here. So we have something to base our decisions on. Right now, we're floundering. We don't have a basis. But if they can say, oh, yes, that would cost us $150, and then we could say, can it be arranged that it's done on these specific dates? Or,
And
you
I
know,
wasn't,
that
I
kind of
wasn't
thing.
looking for a vote on this, that
Yeah.
we're gonna do yes or no. I'm
But
just saying, I'm putting it
yeah.
out there that I'm gonna get quotes. Because
Because-
no one else is signing up to
Yeah.
help.
Because perhaps it might work where the first big clean is done before the show opens, and then perhaps individuals can do the tidy up
Right.
between the shows. That's a possibility.
And I do like your idea, Edward, but it doesn't work.
Do we have a checklist of exactly what tasks need to be done?
That's what I was going to bring up. I think
You can
there's,
certainly.
and
I
if
mean,
no one,
I understand that it's an intense process for one person, but what if we could break it up? Even if it's just like, hey, can you come and do bathrooms, you do vacuuming, you do.
So
I
we
will
already
throw
tried
out to
that.
that,
That's
that
what we've been doing
Nancy
for
last
years.
summer
yeah.
assigned a room downstairs for two people on the board to do. And all they needed to do was just kind of tidy up, get things a little bit straightened up so that garbage was thrown away. It did not work. Only some people were capable of coming in and doing anything. And poor Chris wound up doing an incredible amount of stuff because she had no concept of what she was asked to be doing. But we all unfortunately can't be relied on to follow through.
I think Eiley has.
Yeah, you're gonna say something, I cut you off, I
I think
apologize.
there is a lack of, and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone by any means. I'm too new for that. But that there is a lack of communication too, and that email doesn't necessarily always work. For example, after Randall, posted or sent out the email, and right away I was like, oh, I'll come tonight for concessions. And then now, not everyone has children, but it takes a lot for me and others to figure out where to put our children in order to get here. And luckily, Kenna, we were talking, because we happened to be hanging out that day, and we were talking, I'm like, oh, well, instead of you watching my child, why don't you go do concessions? Well, she showed up here, and I don't, again, not pointing fingers, saying, oh, Eileen didn't sign up. But I did, it's right on the email, it's right there, there's proof. So there is a lack of communication, and I'm not, again, I'm not pointing fingers, or somehow it needs to be restructured, reorganized. Maybe not everyone's on Facebook, I know that. Maybe there's a Facebook board member page. For me, that's much easier. Well, I check email all the time, but for me, it's like click, and then someone could be in charge, as someone is already, with the list, but it could be updated daily.
So
Daily, the PDF, boom, gone, here's the new
One of the things that
one.
we're gonna
You
do
know?
with looking at the volunteer idea is it will be electronic, and it will not be, there'll be no transparency.
Okay,
So, I'm sorry, it will be transparent.
yeah,
Did I say that right?
we were with you.
Everybody will know what's going on. And the reason that we feel so heavy about the volunteer app or sign up sheet or whatever it is, because then I have proof
It
that
does
says
scheduling.
Ally wants to help.
And then everybody can look and go, oh, look, oh, Alan
Dr.
signed up
Riley.
for it.
And we
Maybe I
can
can
call
do
you,
this too.
and we can
Right,
call you on it
right.
and say, hey, where
Well,
are
that's,
you?
you knew that was Ally. No, I'm kidding.
Highly.
But right,
I'm
right.
just saying.
No, I think that would be great, because then we can comment, or we can do that, boom, right away. And
And I,
plus a list of duties, whoever said that, a list of, I mean, Derek and I house managed one time, I don't know, a year ago or last semester, I call semesters, right? And then we left at the end, and then later we're like, oh my gosh, did we fulfill our
Did we do
house
everything?
manager,
Yeah.
or our ushering, not house managing, ushering? And I'm like, oh, I feel so bad.
There-
But there's, I
believe
need
it
a
or not, there
checklist,
is.
you know?
Yeah,
There
there
is
is.
actually house manager, usher, there's about 3 or 4 that have
Okay.
actually been drawn up. They were gonna go into a handbook that never,
Those
Okay.
probably, we should probably put those on the
Yeah,
website.
we don't
And
have,
then
we
if
don't
handbook,
have
they're not
issue
gonna see it
with
each time.
volunteers
You know,
as
it
much
just
for
have
the
a-
show as we do
He's-
pre-show.
She's,
The pre-show is where it's killing us, killing me.
Well,
Mhm.
Me and
that's
Nancy are
where
the
the-
only two. And
Maybe we
everybody
need
else
to output
does
more
things.
for volunteer and be like, hey, we need volunteers for show and we need volunteers for pre-show.
But I do put that.
But I
in
understand
my
that they have to
volunteer.
have access.
So
I'm
the
there
problem
for
is with
post-show, that's
circulating
not
the
on the
email
list.
is she's,
Right, yeah.
it just,
I do
it's
put out,
awkward.
I put a volunteer list out, and it's 2 weeks out. It
That's not on the
says
list either.
Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
cleaning house, and I'm the
If
only
you
one
want
that's
to get
ever
out,
on.
show the blast.
I think we should. I
Yes,
think, yeah,
there's just a minor little situation, the way we're doing it, and I do not have at this point a suggestion of how to fix it. But we are now kind of having a tendency to think about the board as being the only people who can volunteer or do volunteer. And there might be people out there willing to come in during the week or whatever to help clean or whatever. They don't know about it because the only people that you reach with your email is
board
the
member.
board. And then you have to think that if there might be 10 people out
Absolutely
there willing to do cleaning, it's still gonna take a person with a key to get in the door.
Which is a board member.
And
Yeah.
that's a board member,
Yeah.
so,
You're
you know.
absolutely right about that.
But even if we could make it easier by having one board member show up with a group of volunteers, letting everybody in, everybody tackling a duty, and then
But then
everybody
how
leaving.
does the board member know who the volunteers are?
This is
But
what
then
the,
that's
this
where
is
we
what
talk
the
about
tracking
the,
system's
the
about.
tracking system, or even just having a volunteer, if we decide not to use a tracking system, having the volunteer list available.
Could I ask a quick question,
Mhm.
since we're talking about volunteering and cleaning? Would any of you volunteer to clean before the show?
Yeah,
I've done it.
I do it all the
recommend vacuum duties.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
actually,
but-
the vacuuming thing has to be done before.
Y'all say that, but we just had 5 freaking shows, and excuse me for my goddamn French. I have been here every single show cleaning the place by myself. Nancy comes in and does other things as well, cleaning, thank God, because then I would be doing it. Lynn has cleaned bathrooms and stuff, y'all all done it. But where were you this season?
Well, but here's the thing
We
is,
have to
we
clean the
didn't know
theater
that
the
that was
Thursday
the part
before the
on the
show.
list.
I send out an email to every one of you guys.
Randall,
2
bless your
weeks
heart, you
before.
send out the email and you say Randall will clean.
Well, but I'm not saying I should be the only one.
I
that
think
does
there's
it.
been a-
Then make a note, Randall will clean with me, with help. Randall will no longer clean.
I think there has been a
Thursday,
status.
put it on there.
I think there's been a
Thursday cleaning.
status quo put in place
Thursday
that
cleaning.
everybody is automatically assuming that Randall's gonna clean because Randall says, I will clean.
And I
And
do it
now
after
we,
the show.
and now we
So
need to
we've
break from
been,
that.
so now
we tag
let's,
team up.
yeah.
Now we need help.
Yeah.
Okay.
And unless you guys are gonna raise your hand and I can put you on a definite list, we're gonna get a cleaning service.
You
'Cause I'm
bring,
not
you
doing it.
bring us the money and when we see how much it will cost,
Or we,
we're gonna volunteer.
I'd say
Can't-
before.
Can't
I knew
keep
this-
spending money.
I knew
can't
this
keep
was gonna
spending
open a
money.
can of worms, but I am not cleaning this.
Okay,
theater.
got it. Move on to the answering service, please.
Even the lights are getting pissed
They are.
Excuse me for being upset.
I work from home, I
Anyway, answering service,
receive the phone calls.
the other can of worms is Ken and I currently are the only ones that are answering them, maybe Edward sometime.
On the rare
Is there a
occasion
way
when the phones rang
to
when I was
get
here, but
But it takes a lot of effort to answer voicemails. Nancy, you've done it
I've done it, I've
extensively.
done it for years, but Heather just said she would like to do that.
I would
And that's
Can
fine.
it be transferred to my phone? Like, nobody answers
Forward
here
them
and
to
it
you?
You
forwards to
can
my
forward
phone.
them.
Yes, we can do
I'd
that.
be happy to
Or
do
you,
that.
if you're able to do
Sign me
that,
up.
that would be absolutely wonderful.
So see, that's what we need.
Exactly.
But you
Okay.
gotta
We
do
have to
it.
ask.
Okay,
You
let's
gotta
do it.
do it.
I got my phone on all the time.
Let's take that aside.
Take it
Because you're
aside.
teaching online classes, right? So you're not locked into a classroom or
Yeah,
anything
I
like
can do
that,
it when
right?
I want to.
Because it
That's
does
amazing.
take time
And
in a
that's what we
week
need
to
to
do
know
all
what
this.
to do.
Okay,
And
All right, so we got those. Sorry for being such a
we'll talk later.
something.
Okay,
Okay, then the other one was, we said we were gonna vote on the locking of the prop rooms and downstairs. That's what I remember. Or maybe I was crazy.
I would request a hold on that.
Okay,
One reason is I'd like to get Tim in here to talk about the woodroom, and it's getting late.
so I'm trying
And
to
number
hurry.
2 is that we are going to have people up and down the stairs in June because of Missoula.
can we table this and then maybe get together and figure out what it's going to cost? And then bring that?
So we'll table the item. Okay.
We had discussed it at a finance meeting a couple weeks ago. We brought it to a board meeting, because we have found that some things have gone missing.
Okay.
And there are people who may possibly still have keys, who are no longer on the board.
It's not
And
even just
it's-
that though.
it's not just
also
that, but-
things don't get returned.
Yeah, like things been borrowed, not returned. And we want to make sure that,
When you control.
you know, these are property of the theater and not they're not
Yes,
missing and,
I
you know.
guarantee you MSU locks up every single prop they have.
I've been trying and there's a lot of resistance, but I'm trying.
And we just want to make sure, we want to implement, a protocol in place where, you know, don't come with borrowing stuff out, renting stuff out, but making sure that we're keeping track of where stuff is.
Do we have a checklist of like when someone borrows?
We have that.
We have,
And
Yeah.
people don't use it.
And
Do we want
Okay.
to get
If
Tim in
it's
here? 'Cause this is
posted
part of
somewhere,
our
like-
business.
On the wall or on the.
and it's about
Tape it on the
it's
desk.
about
Yeah.
getting
So much
a
easier.
I mean, we
getting a
hide
protocol
things.
One of the
put in
problems
place.
is the papers,
It's been-
one of the biggest problems is sign out sheets, no matter where they are, people can't find them. They can be on, I used to have them stuck on the wall of the costume shop. People couldn't find them. So, you know, it's where and
Well,
how.
and now we can take pictures too. That's what I'll often do at MSU.
And in
That's
essence,
nice.
what's happening is that the theater is losing money on props and costumes.
Yes.
The checklist, is that what you said, Eileen?
So we're gonna table this.
Checklist or
'cause we
just
need-
taking pictures of what people borrow, you know,
Yeah.
just lay out all the costumes or lay out all the props,
That's
take
a
a
good
picture.
idea.
We're gonna
Yeah, snapshot.
table this because we need to move.
I think it's a great idea.
So we'll vote on it another time.
We can print it.
Tim,
We can put
we're
I
trying to
just
get
asked
Tim.
him he's coming.
Okay,
And this
well,
is actually under old business.
okay, well, let's put that there then.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that. Tim,
So, so Lynn asked me to come in and talk about the woodroom cleanup and stuff like that. When it first came up and started talking about it, it was, okay, we'll get it, but then there's been other things being added to the year and to the summer calendar, so I'm not certain what's all in the summer calendar. I know Missoula is in there, and we're gonna be on vacation for a period of time, and finishing up shows and stuff like that. So we've done that, we finished the shows, and then working out. As much as I would love to do an extensive project, really pushing it and getting back into that area, I don't think I have the time between now and Danny's wedding. There's just too many things at the house that have to get done before that occurs, with guests coming in from out of town, especially family members. So I don't want to not do something. So I do want to get into the woodroom. I do want to plan it out. I haven't figured out a date yet because I need to make sure that the dates that I grab the weekend that I grab is going to be a good weekend to get volunteers for, or at least not conflict with something that's going on here. So if there's, obviously we're not going to do it during Missoula, or if we have somebody coming in who's going to use the theater for, like Errol's going to be using it for auditions or whatever the case is. So I'm thinking in June, probably before the week, probably somewhere before the July 4th weekend.
so we have that.
So maybe like
June 20.
maybe like late June,
Yes.
the later half of June.
Because we've got the
June
28th,
28th
we've got
and
the Rocky Horror happening.
Okay.
And the only thing I've been told
Yeah.
is that they're gonna use the stage, but they do want the back of the stage for the green room.
Well, the big thing that I'm gonna need is I need space, because everything needs to come out of that woodroom. Everything.
Just gotta come out.
Throw away anything
I hate
that,
to
we're gonna
see
throw away
that
the
fly.
trash. And there's a lot of it back there,
When's
including, whatever scraps of wood and stuff like that, and get in there. And then get it back together, look at what we can do as far as tools are concerned. I've got some ideas to move, like the charging packs. The cabinet that we have, that we got the power tools in, is a good piece. It has we've been putting the tools back in there, which is really good for us. But we're not very good at putting things away, but we've been putting the power tools back in there. So I want to keep that kind of as a focus, and move the power chargers for the batteries inside that, so that they can be, the batteries can be stored in there and such.
What about moving
Um,
a saw in there? Would that be a possibility?
Saw going in that room probably is not going to be a good thing, because of the length of, it's the length of boards. If you're cutting a 10-foot board or so, you're not gonna get it inside the green room and cut it in there and using that.
Maybe we can
Well,
find
we
a
could
spot
utilize
It's
there.
kind of in a set.
We can utilize the other, we could use that other workbench in there for,
We get that cleared off.
get that cleared off, and use that for some of the things that we put, instead of stacking the other things on this table out here, like what we've got right now, moving them inside. I'll look at the idea of getting some kind of either pegboard or something like that can go up to hang get all the tools that are hand tools on, the saws, the hammers and such.
If we had a date, I would be happy to call these people and see if these.
Yeah, I heard something about that. So I'm
Right.
looking at about 5 to 7 people, because being in that room, it's not gonna be easy, but getting
No,
them
that's what
out.
I was thinking too.
So
We've got the.
Do
Well,
you have
yeah, I
a
heard that.
date?
I'm trying to get to that.
Yeah, go ahead, Lynn.
Okay, first 2 weeks of June won't work.
We're out.
Last week of June won't work. And if they're in the middle with that one weekend and it bleeds over, we're gonna be in trouble.
Okay.
Therefore, I
We're
would
gonna go after July,
suggest,
after
the second or third weekend of July. It'll be
Okay.
before, the auditions, but it'll be after everything that we currently have scheduled. And if it needs 2 weekends, there'll be 2 weekends available.
My thing is to
It'll
work
be a
Saturday
week.
and Sunday
It'll take,
to
Is there anything-
full Saturday and full Sunday.
for example, is there
Get it
anything that I could do? Like now, tomorrow, the next day, whatever?
It's finding places to put things, and that's where
Yeah.
we can't just, we need to be able to
Think it all out.
logically put things in places that we'll be able to find it again. And not interfere with Missoula coming in
Right,
or
but I mean,
whoever else is
people aren't gonna
using it.
use this back, are they?
But Missoula's gonna be all over the place,
You know, if there's
and the
50, 60 kids
Misfits will
involved
be
in
all
that,
over the place,
So
so
we should actually close
we
that.
just gotta be,
It'll be,
Yeah.
yeah. So the
Okay.
the point of it, yes,
So like
Getting
July
in there.
8th through the 14th.
but if somebody wanted to go in there and throw away any piece of wood that's under 6 inches, or 6 inches or less, you can knock yourselves out. Doing that.
so potentially,
And those can all just
The
go right in the
July
garbage, but that's gonna be a hauling it out to the dumpster and stuff like
Just
that.
But their Air Force
we
Base
can't use.
thing is July
There is the
13th.
Kill
right?
Shakespeare.
That's not
Right,
Shakespeare.
but
July.
That's not here, that's on the page.
But
that's
for
not
volunteer
here.
purpose wise,
Right, if people were
Is my
volunteering for it, right.
right,
we're wanting people to do that as well as
Go out
this.
there.
There.
right, but if
places at
it, but
once.
that's going to be a situation where the performance date is the 1 day only, and then maybe the day before, possibly
It
2.
should be
Right, and I
So-
get that, I'm
But you
just
could
saying for
volunteer for the
people-wise.
previous,
Yeah, we don't need
previous
everybody,
week
you
and
know, the,
not do,
it just, people can come in, obviously, I know everybody's obligated to other things, so. But the people from the board, and also opening it up to anybody who would like to just volunteer, somebody who
So,
wants to
so
spend
you
some
could
time.
just help me get a vision, Tim, of what's happening. You envision then everything coming this way.
Yep, on,
Like-
mostly trying to use the stage as
Okay.
the,
And just
On
lay
to
the
it out.
stage
stage.
everything up on the
Okay, kind
stage.
of everything on the stage and then, see what we've
Sort it.
got, categorize,
Right,
whatever
figure it
kind of
out.
thing, okay.
What isn't working, what we haven't used in the 10, 14, 15 years that we've been in here.
Okay,
You know, if it's not been used in 15 years,
right,
Should
and,
be
and I mean,
it
seriously,
needs-
we've got
it needs
lots
no
of
way.
6 inches or less wood.
yes. I
There's
guess
a
we
lot of it, and I don't mind piling it in front of the door, but I can't carry it to the
Right.
dumpster.
So that's
Well,
gonna be,
some people might
the
want it
problem is just
with their
not being,
brothers.
not interfering with other activities that are gonna be utilizing the main hall and the stage and the backstage area with things sitting there. Like I said, I've got things I've gotta do at the house that I need to get picked up, cleaned up, some pretty, it's
So-
gonna take some time, so.
So it sounds like the.
But the idea of using the boys and
Second and
girls
third
ranch,
weekend
I don't have
of July.
a problem with that.
July.
I can get you
Yes.
we can figure out, we can solidify a date and we can get it. So probably again, okay, we'll look at July. But it's gonna have to be before so that,
second and
Small
third
period.
weekend of July is clear.
Okay.
probably the second weekend we'll start. That's the one we'll get it started on, and depending on how far we go, we'll determine how much of this.
So if like some of us came in during the week that don't have stuff, we
Yep.
can just pull the wood
Right,
out
that's
onto
what I
the.
was
Yes,
just thinking,
absolutely,
you've got a big, I
right.
mean, 'cause I
And
can come in
that's-
any day and I can put stuff onto the stage, I
Yep.
know how to do that.
So it doesn't,
I'll work with Tim to make a list of,
and stacking
Tasks.
things accordingly and stuff like that, so that, keep the tools together.
So
keep
the soonest like somebody could start clearing, say, that bench.
Okay, guys,
Is it
we have.
I wouldn't do it
we have
until
got to get
after
this
we
Right,
get
but
through
that's what
Missoula.
I'm saying, the soonest would be July.
Please see Tim after the meeting because we have a lot of people that need to leave.
Yep.
Thank you, Tim.
Yep.
Old business, the only thing there really is the projector install.
Okay.
If y'all have seen the projector and stuff is in there, they are gonna change the screen. The screen is gonna go behind the Persimmon beam, whatever we wanna call it. He just figured out how he can reverse the roll to make it work. That's the only reason it's in the front. And everybody complained about it, and we're gonna move it, but we had to figure out how to reverse the rolling mechanism to make it work. So he's supposed to do that either tomorrow or Wednesday.
The way it's mounted, it'll fit right under the beam. It doesn't interfere with lights or
You
anything.
won't even
It's under
see
the
it.
lights.
That's
And
kind of what, yeah.
it'll be behind the beam, you won't even see it.
Yep.
And the extension cords, Nancy, they will be
Yeah.
removed once the electrician puts the plugs in. That was supposed to be Friday, but I'm going to the lake. If he can't do it Thursday, it'll be next week. So,
Just so it's unplugged.
and then the west unit heating exchanger has been repaired. Everything is finally working. That was our $2,500 bill that we had, so that's all I had there. The table, the items we can work on later. Any other announcements before we adjourn? Our next meeting date is June 10th, tentative for now. So,
Is that not going to conflict
That will
with
be,
Missoula?
that will be with Missoula.
It's okay. I'm just
It's a
gonna do
meeting.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for the things. We're good.
so
For the workshops.
any other announcements before we adjourn?
Nothing.
All right, thank you, everybody, for the time.
Anybody wanna volunteer for tomorrow? Anybody wanna?
Starting
have
rooster,
fun?
starting
Have
rooster,
fun?
she needs to
Have
schedule.
fun. She needs to start.
What time's
People.
it open?
5 to 6,
This
7 to
is
8, 8 to
officially
9,
gonna
9 to
do
10,
this